What's going on, guys? This is Mosen with the first impressions and my thoughts on the classic WoW panel. And yeah, yesterday I was at work when the panel was going on, so basically the next morning I took my breakfast and watched the whole panel through, and because people gave me updates on what was going on and said it was pretty cool what was going on, and so I just wanted to give you my thoughts on a couple of these points, on the main and key points that were made, and maybe you didn't watch it yet, or you were looking for something that explains what they basically said, because it is the classic panel, so it's a bit more interesting than the BFA panel to us personally as classic fans. So right, I want to go through the key points and yeah, just give you my thoughts on it. Might not agree with all of them, but yeah, this is what we know. Okay, this is what we know, and these are my thoughts on it. So let's jump right into it. So you might want to rewatch the whole thing when you get a chance to, or you have like other videos and you can see how Ian Hazakostas has presented this along with his friends and the colleagues, and I gotta say that the whole thing was very well presented, and I think that if some of these things would have been communicated earlier, a lot of this whole I'm freaking out because I'm seeing something that shouldn't be in the game wouldn't be there, if you kind of know what I mean. I think that especially the first guy that came on the stage, I can't remember the name, but the first guy that came on the stage, how he explained of why they couldn't go with an old version and why they decided to go with a newer version and then go back in the changelog basically to recreate that thing, was a lot more understandable for people to see. Okay, this is why they're doing it, instead of saying, well, we don't have the client, sorry, we don't really want to do it, or we're gonna put it on a Legion client because then we can do it much better. And that comes across to people that don't want anything to change in the game, as they want to take the easy route and they want to put stuff in our game, right? And so yeah, I thought that was the whole intro of how the technical things behind that were, I think, were very well done. I think they were much better now that you had some tech guy just explaining it to you, and like all the people on stage were basically just seemed very competent, and they were in a very good mood to present what they were doing. So let's get into the meat though. They were saying sharding at the start. I just want to get a couple of key points out of the way before we go into the detail. They said sharding at the start because this is what everybody's losing their mind at the moment about. This is probably confirmed to be in because they don't. I mean, first things first, they're not gonna have like a huge sharding as soon as three people are walking into the same ground. That they are, going to be phased out of the world. This is not going to happen. They say they want to have sharding in the starting zones to have that, just to have this only the launch experience a little bit more smooth. Because let's face it, it's, I'm very torn in that topic because it's part of it, but I too remember, and people think, okay, there's a launch experience, I want to wait with, there's going to be a mob that spawns and 20 people are going to compete for it. The thing is, the counter argument is, it's probably not going to be 20 people, it's going to be 80 or so. And at that point, it will become very frustrating at some point for some people. And looking from that perspective, I can definitely see the point in this. The counter argument is that it's 8 servers per region, right, per localized region, so like Germany, English, Spanish, etc. So there's a lot more servers for the community to be on, and it's not all going to be all on one server. So it's going to be more spread out anyway, unless so many people play that it's going to be like, a Nostalgia's launch, or Lightbringer launch. So that can be, you can see that how it is. They basically say they will probably put it in. You know, sharding will be in the starting zones and only there. That's what they said. We have to take them by the word. I doubt that they're gonna fuck the player base over. As I said, we have to always kind of, you know, stay a little bit reasonable. And it's not hurting you or me. It's actually a very good thing, but it of course takes away if it's in from the initial launch thing that's going to be in. But there's still going to be a lot of people in your shard, right? Don't worry. There's going to be a lot of people in your single shard, just not 200. And yeah, maybe, you know, I'm very torn. It can be a very good thing and a you know, not so good thing. In the end, they decided they want to do it this way. It's just how it is. We just have to get used to it, I guess. And it's only going to be in the starting zones. So you know, I personally don't really care that much about that decision, but I think that I know a lot of people do, which is absolutely understandable. But we can, you know, it's just how they're probably gonna do it. So no, we just kind of have to get over it, I think. But that doesn't mean that we should get over everything. But I'm going to get into those points. So yeah, small sharding at the start of the server, just to get the launch a little bit more smooth. And yeah, that's just how it is. I just hope that this is gonna stay in the zones, right, in the starting zones, because I just hope that there's not gonna be a whole bunch of sharding. I just hope they don't sneak it in at the start, so that they can shard stuff at like AQ events, or at like, you know, releases of big raids, or now there's like a huge PvP thing going on. Sharding kicks in, Terra Mill South Shore is gone, basically. You know, then somebody just disappears in front of your eyes, because they just sneaked in the sharding at the start, and then they're not gonna talk about it anymore. You know what I mean. Okay. Right, then Ian, I think he got what the community is about. So that's what I meant with putting trust in Blizzard, because I think Ian is very well aware of what people want and what people don't want. I'm very sure about that. And I know he, you know, would say, and he said, you know, sharding, we know it's a kind of a big deal, but it just we just kind of have to put it in. And you know, that's just the one thing that he basically said we won't get as we want, basically. And all of the rest of the things, I'm very sure that he gets what people want. I'm very sure of that. And anything that is possible to do, you could see that on the debuff limits, debuff slot limit, where they did it in the classic way. Even though he said, everybody said, you know, it's possible, and it's a bad game design to have 16 slots only. But we're doing it because we know that's what people want. I'm guessing they kind of get. Right. And he made one key point, and that's a very, very important one. That's the one that I talked about in the previous video, where I was talking about the demo, impressions. We should make ourselves vocal in a normal manner, so that we can say, hey, here, this and that should not be in the game. And he said there's going to be tons of things from now until it's getting released that they just don't see. You know, it's like the example, they had an example with like a lamp post or something, and there was something in there that was in vanilla, and now it caused an error because of the new client, and they never knew even back then that there was like a bug in that lamp, like a texture bug. But now they saw it, and they were able to fix it. Or people said, hey, this shouldn't be in there, so they went back, changed that, because they just didn't see it. So, you know, he said, we can only fix what we can see, and we rely on you in dialogue to fix that. So instead of going to freak out and saying, if this is it, I'm not gonna play it, I'm gonna rage quit out, and, you know, now we're going back to Nosterios, I guess, you know, just say what you saw so they can fix it. And you know, it's all about communication, I guess. You know, you gotta be a little bit open to dialogue, otherwise it doesn't matter what you say. You're an idiot, you know. So yeah, basically just communicate whatever you want to communicate in a standard fashion. those key points out of the way, and those are already the biggest ones, I think, because right now we're getting into some of the detail that we know, and we don't know all that much detail, really. But he said there were easy and hard decisions so far, and the easy decisions, let's get them right out of the way, are, with the sharding argument out of the way, no dungeon finder, there's going to be no looking for raid, no group maker, okay? And he said he knows that in the demo you can type /LFR, but it's a relic of the past client that they were building this on, and so they know about this, and he said don't worry about it. Don't expect that what you saw in the demo to be like the final game. There's a lot of stuff, he said, in that needs to be put out of the game, or they just didn't have the time. However, whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, they should put out a good demo because they know how people really react that play Classic. That's another topic, but he said he basically gave you the assurance that yes, this is a demo, don't expect too much, okay? So that's a very big relief for me personally, because I trust them, kind of. Although Diablo, but no cross realm, of course. He said no flying mounts, of course, also not, because they know that a server has their own story and their own people and everything, and their own, things going on. No achievement points. They said they were actually going to look into that a little bit, or he didn't say that, no. He said it's not going to be in because it wasn't in. But he said the thing is the same. You're chasing a thing that is just for a completionist player, but they didn't want to put the achievement points in because it just wasn't in. Okay, but that one wouldn't have really hurt. But I know a lot of people don't want to have it in, so I never did achievements, so I don't care. But yeah, no unified auction houses. So the first thing that came to my mind was I thought they meant Stormwind, Ironforge, Darnassus are going to be divided auction houses, but this is not the case. What he meant was just they're not unified between Horde and Alliance. So if you want to trade from Horde to Alliance, you have to go to Everlook or Booty Bay, etc. So probably the auction houses are going to be linked, right? Within each other's small things, but Horde and Alliance are cut. Basically, you can't trade. So nothing new, really. Then he said there were a couple of hard decisions that they had to make, and those were, for example, as I said, the debuff slot limit. And they said they came to the conclusion that in the end, back then, if you don't know, raid bosses have a certain amount of debuff slots you can put on them. Right, that used to be 8 at the start, and that now it later became 16, and that was the technical limit back then that you could put on a boss because you had to sync that with every player, 40-man raid. It just wasn't technically possible. They said it's not a good game design, but it was just a technical limitation. So now they thought about upping this in order to have, give every class like the opportunity to put like dots on it that usually could not do. So you could play an Affliction Warlock in a raid situation because you just apply your dots and that's it. Now they decided against upping this because they said they know it's not a good game design, but they want to keep it as vanilla as possible. On this one I'm very torn because I can see that, why they would do this, but then again, I think on this one they might have would have made a better choice if they would have upped that for like 4 or so, have like a compromise between that. But that's just me, and a lot of people would probably love to see 8 at the start. 8 is terrible. It's really very, very, very terrible. But everyone has their own opinion on this. Fact is, they're keeping it at 16, and that's the story. That was a hard decision. They're keeping in. An easy decision was weapon skill and defense rating. I forgot that one. So they're keeping that in. So human, orc stays pretty broken. Dwarf hunter, troll hunter. Those are still pretty broken. That means if you want to know more about weapon skill rating and defense rating, check my video. That is all about that topic, and it has some pretty big impacts on your performance. if you're a melee player or whatever you're playing. So they're keeping that the way it is. The mail system will keep its delay of 1 hour for sending items over to other characters. For gold, I don't know, but gold used to be instant, so I'm guessing this is gonna stay the same. So yeah, they are keeping the if you send something to your friend, an item, you have to wait an hour, because they want people to say, okay, if I send it now, you're gonna wait an hour. Let's meet up and social interaction and all that kind of. Nothing too big, but yeah, I'm glad it stays the same. So then one more big thing. Actually, energy restoration, they are keeping the same. I don't know why he talked about this, but that was pretty obvious to me. But rogues and feral druids, energy regeneration are going to stay, coming in chunks. It was a technical limitation back then too, he said, but they say it's so much part of the game and the gameplay and how the classes feel that they're just going to keep it that way, and it's going to come in chunks, so that's it. One big one for me, which I understand I can adapt to it, I don't care really, is tradable loot. That's the thing from Wrath of the Lich King, he said, that came in, and it's basically, let's say your raid leader is master looting an item to the wrong person, right? And that happened to us, even to me. It happened, I think, not many times in the whole time, but it did happen, and it had probably happened like twice or so. And it's really stupid, because you just can't really get it to the other person over, and you need a GM, and if that's like and sometimes you would even just slip or like the raid frames in your master loot window, it would say a name, you click that name, but it would go to somebody else, because there was like a known raid frame bug where people were displayed at different points in the raid group. It was stupid. Like, even if you click the right person from the name, it went to somebody else because it was technically in the slot, blah. And so now you can, whenever you're getting an item in a raid, you can trade that item over to a certain person that has been in that raid during the kill for a certain amount of time, so that, oh shit, I looted the, I gave that binding of the Windseeker to a mage, okay, and he can be a total dick poured out of the dungeon, or he can give it to the warrior that is crying in tears. So that's good, I think. And I'm still not very sure if that leaves any room for exploitation. For example, your friends could now, if an item drops, right, an epic drops, okay? Yeah, if you're rolling, you could roll, like your friends could roll for you or with you, because when they win, they can trade it over to you. That's kind of a... so basically, if you're pugging and you're like one person with 3 friends, they can all, you're the healer in the group, or like you want some certain item, and he has a tank friend, and he has a couple of friends, and then you want the Baron cloak, for example, right? But they want him to get the cloak, so they all roll need, like the tank and the healer roll need, because they know three times the odds against your odds, and then they get it, and then they can trade it to their rogue that they know. I'm just saying that could possibly happen. I don't know yet. But then again, you shouldn't pug anyway. You should find a proper guild with annoying people, and then you should go in there and then grind Stratholme 100 times with your guilds and drink beer. Another thing was add-ons. Okay, so add-ons, it's pretty simple. They're removing everything, or they won't, anything that automates your class won't work anymore. Anything else works. So I'm not sure if he means anything that goes into super macro, like weapon switch macros, if that's already automated when you like, okay, when I'm switching into Berserker stance, I'm equipping, I'm making a macro with, okay, this is my Berserker stance with shield in one hand, this is my Berserker stance with 2 hand, this is my Berserker stance with Nightfall or whatever. And then, so you can, I don't know if that's already in, but I don't think so. I think what he meant was things like Healbot. And a lot of healers I'm looking at the paladins and priests mostly, any healing class really. If you were using healbot, you'll see a lot of people that used to heal very, very good. They're gonna heal a little bit differently now that this is gone. Because healbot was the exact thing that, you know, you were pressing a button and this add-on would technically go through the raid, find the target that was closest to the expected heal that is gonna be. So you'd have as little overheal as possible, and you get exactly your sniped heal in. So let's say like your heal is expected to be 200, and you have a target that is 199 in the minus, like has a damage of 199. It would select that target and snipe the heal on that target as healbot. And you would it would also even, I think, filter ranks out to fit that amount that was missing. So of course these people were very efficient, almost zero overheal, and they were always top in the meters. That's gonna be gone. So I don't know of any other examples at the moment, but healbot, for example, was a very big automated thing, and like all that kind of stuff is going to be gone, which is awesome. I like it. We'll have to see if all the cool auction house add-ons are going to be gone, like Auks, because those are automating, putting stuff into the auction house, all that cool stuff. I'm not sure if that's a thing that's going to be gone. And that's basically it for the gameplay. Now the content release is something that is very interesting for people, and I think they got a pretty good schedule out. And the schedule is as follows. They're gonna have stages, just like on Private Realms before. The first stage is gonna be MC, Oni, Azuragos, Dire Maul is gonna be out from the launch, and Lord Kazakh. This is gonna be the first wave, and that's absolutely fine for me. I feel like Dire Maul, you know, items are very strong. I feel like that's gonna be... They could have put that in the second wave, but I'm very sure they will. They said they will have dialogue with people that have played Private Realms and people that they're developing this with. So I could imagine that they say Dire Maul items are very, very strong. Put them in a later patch. Big thing. No PvP system will be out at the beginning of the server, and no Battlegrounds will be out, neither of those. So we will have Terra Mill and South Shore action again, which is awesome, but there will be no honor points for this, or at least, okay, he said, here's what he said, I think he said no Battlegrounds and no PvP rewards out, because it's a big difference if you can just get the Unstoppable Force at an MC patch, and it would devalue, or you know, the items that drop from the raid bosses. So either you already get honor or kills, but there's no rewards to buy stuff from, and there's no Battlegrounds. That would be awesome, because then you could already get like a rank, for example. Yeah, that would be very cool, because then PvPers could PvP. If not, it's not a big deal, but yeah, I get the idea behind that. So PvP is going to be rolled out in the second stage, which is going to be Blackwing Lair, Battlegrounds, Zul'Gurub, and yeah, that's going to be the second stage, and that's more fits more the schedule, because Blackwing Lair items are usually pretty strong, like the PvP items, and yeah, we'll see. So that's going to be a very interesting one, and usually only Blackwing Lair is a pretty weak release, usually, because you know, there's other stuff to do. The third stage is going to be AQ40 with the event, don't worry. Tier 0.5 sets the Green Dragons, the Nightmare Dragons, and the Silithus content, and the fourth one is going to be Nax Invasion, and they're going to rework this plan in dialogue with the community. And so go to the forums and say why you think things should be how they are. There's a good chance that they're reading it, because he knew that people were already going apeshit about the /LFR thing in the demo. Okay, so they're reading it, they're hearing you. As Alan Brack said, we hear you, right? I would also point out that J. Alan Brack is a rare mob at the Westfall Beach. I found on the other. Pretty sure it's a reference to him, because it's a Murloc. Yeah. And yeah, that's basically it. And they didn't say if there's any more content coming after next, which I would love, but and what's going to happen after next. But the next invasion, next is going to be the fourth wave of content, and that basically concludes the panel there. You know, if in case you haven't seen it, I don't want to drag on this video for much longer than it really has to be. I'm very, very, very pleased with the outcome of the panel. I'm very pleased that we had Ian say a lot of info about Classic and a lot of technical background why they did things that people were getting very upset about in the past. The sharding, you know, hate it or love it. There's a lot of people that like it too. I've seen in our Discord, like people defending it and saying, hey, you know, I don't want, to be honest, I don't want to, you know, compete against 30 people. And it's usually the vocal people are always the, you know, are the people that are vocal, you know, and those are the people that are saying, hey, I don't want anything changed. And I personally also don't want anything changed. You know, if I had to say in sharding or no sharding, I'd say no sharding, of course. But there's also a lot of people that don't say anything. They're more of a convenience guys, and I get it. It's not their key, they're not the key target. But you know, we'll just have to see what if they bend in or not. And if not, look, it's. I know what you're saying, but if it only stays in the starting zones, you know, just be real. It's a very tough, a small thing to a very small thing to swallow for what we're getting. Okay, so you know, let's just say fuck it and move on. If it stays in the starting zone, if I see that shit in the Silithus opening event, then I'm gonna be mad because we don't want it there. That's, you know, we don't want it anywhere else except for the starting zones. I can get it there. Anything else, no. Yeah, that has been me. I've been Mosen. Thank you very much for watching, and if you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and check by my Twitch channel. I'm streaming quite a lot on there, and would love to see you there. And I'm always up for theory crafting, tinfoil hat stuff, and all the good stuff. And it's a rather chill stream, so don't expect fireworks and dragons, you know, jumping out of the screen. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you the next time. I hope this helped you. Bye bye.